Before Africa was colonized, it had empires, universities, international trade network, complex political systems, and rich intellectual traditions. Yet, for many people around the world, African history seems to begin with slavery or European rule. That version of history is incomplete and in many cases deliberately misleading. In today's video, we are going to explore what Africa looked like before colonization, what system already existed across the continent, and why understanding this history matters, not only for Africans, but for the world as a whole. Welcome to African Throne TV. This channel is dedicated to exploring African history through careful research, historical evidence, and balanced storytelling. The goal here is not to romanticize the past, but to present African history accurately, thoughtfully, and with the depth it deserves. Africa is not a country. It is a vast continent with over 50 modern nations, thousands of ethnic groups, and more than 2,000 languages. Long before any European power set foot on African soil, societies across the continent had already developed systems of governance, education, commerce, spirituality, and diplomacy. The idea that Africa was underdeveloped or without civilization before colonization is a myth. It is a narrative that emerged largely during the colonial period to justify conquest, exploitation, and domination. In reality, colonization did not bring civilization to Africa. It disrupted civilization that already existed. To understand this, we must first understand the diversity of pre-colonial Africa. Some societies were centralized kingdoms with powerful rulers and standing armies. Others were decentralized systems governed by councils of elders, clans, or age grade systems. This difference, these different political models were adapted to local environments, cultures, and economic needs. In Northeast Africa, ancient Egypt and Nubia developed some of the earliest known systems of writing, mathematics, architecture, and medicine. This civilization built monumental structures, practiced advanced engineering, and recorded their histories in texts and inscriptions that still exist today. Egypt did not exist in isolation. It was part of a broader African world and maintained deep cultural and political ties with Nubian kingdoms to the south. In West Africa, powerful empires rose and fell over centuries. The Ghana empires, followed by the Mali Empire, and later the Songhai Empire, controlled vast territories and major trade routes across the Sahara. Gold, salt, ivory, and textile moved through African hands long before European involvement in global trade. One of the most famous rulers in this era was Mansa Musa of Mali, whose words became legendary. During his pilgrimage to Mecca in the 14th century, his gold was so abundant that it reportedly affected local economics along his route. But Mali's significance was not only economic, it was also intellectual. The city of Timbuktu became one of the world's great centers of learning. Scholars traveled through across Africa and beyond to study law, astronomy, mathematics, medicine, and theology. Thousands of manuscripts were written and preserved, many of which still exist today in private family collections and libraries. These texts challenge the false claim that Africa had no written intellectual tradition. In Southern Africa, the civilization of Great Zimbabwe built massive stone structures without mortar, demonstrating advanced architectural knowledge. This society controlled regional trade networks that connected the interior of Africa to the Swahili coast and the Indian Ocean world. Goods from Africa reached Arabia, India, and China centuries before European maritime expansion. Along the West African coast, the Kingdom of Benin developed a highly organized political system and produced remarkable bronze artwork using sophisticated casting techniques. These works, known today as the Benin Bronze, were not only artistic achievements but also historical record, documenting royal lineage, ceremonies, and social structure. Education in pre-colonial Africa took many forms. In some regions, formal institutions like universities and schools existed. In others, knowledge was transmitted through oral tradition. Griots, historians, and elders memorized and passed down genealogies, laws, moral codes, and historical events with remarkable accuracy. Oral history was not a sign of primitiveness. It was a deliberate and effective system suited to the needs of the society. African society also had complex legal system. Disputes were resolved through courts, councils, or customary law. Many communities emphasized restorative justice rather than punishment, focusing on repairing harm and maintaining social harmony. Religion and spirituality were deeply integrated into daily life. African spiritual system often emphasize balance, community, and a strong relationship between the living and the ancestors and the natural world and the ancestors and the natural world. This belief system shaped ethnic governance and cultural practices. So why is it so much of this history missing from mainstream education? During the colonial era, European power had a strong incentive to portray Africa as backward and ahistorical. By denying African societies their achievements, colonizers could present themselves as bringers of progress and justify the exploitation of land, labor, and resource. This distortion was reinforced through colonial education system, academic institutions, and popular media. Over time, this narrative became normalized, even among Africans themselves. The result was not just the loss of historical knowledge, but the erosion of cultural confidence and identity. Recovering African history is not about rejecting other histories or claiming superiority. It is about restoring balance and truth. African history is human history. It is interconnected with the histories of Europe, Asia, and the Middle East through trade, migration, and shared knowledge. Understanding Africans' past past help us better understand the present. Many modern political borders, economic challenges, and social tensions cannot be fully explained without acknowledging the impact of colonial disruption on pre-existing systems. More importantly, More importantly, understanding African history challenges harmful stereotypes and open the door to more honest global conversation about development, culture, and contribution. This video is only an introduction. There are thousands of stories still to be told. Stories of kingdom, communities, of resistance and innovation, of women leaders, philosophers, warriors and scholars whose name deserve to be remembered. On this channel, we will explore these stories in depth. We will examine evidence, consult historical sources, and approach African history with the seriousness it demands. If you are interested in well-researched, respectful, and engaging African history, consider subscribing and turning on notification button. New videos will continue this journey into African's path, one story at a time. Thank you for watching and welcome to African Throne TV.